Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a really strange but very interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Maxace Dragon. The quality of this knife is outstanding, and I mean that. It's incredible. We're looking at an M390 blade that's obviously got a wild grind on it. We're looking at contoured, orange peel textured titanium scales, a Damascus pivot collar, Damascus pocket clip, and really just incredible multi-row bearing action. I am 100% certain that the vast majority of people watching this video right now are thinking, that looks like a gas station knife, and it has a super impractical blade shape. Yeah. I think that's extremely obvious. So why, right? This is obviously an expensive knife. Why go through the trouble of making something that's incredibly premium and essentially useless? I mean, it's not totally useless. You can definitely cut paper if you want to. If you really want it to, it'll cut cardboard and stuff like that, right? It's sharp. But why? Why do that? Because they can. I honestly think this is Maxace showing off what they're capable of doing. This is hardly the first time that I have seen something like this in the knife world, right? But if this is the first time you're seeing it, you are never gonna forget this thing. The Maxace Dragon. It's essentially already done its job, and that's to keep you from forgetting it. I mean, there's no part of my brain that thinks the designer or Maxace, right, was going, oh, let's make something extremely practical, right, and then make it incredibly premium and just make it like the ultimate, performance-oriented cutting tool. No, not at all. I think they knew exactly what they were doing, and I think they have essentially accomplished that. Thanks so much to Maxace for sending this in for me to take a look at. Seriously. I wanted to look at this right away the first time I saw a picture of it on Instagram. So thank you for sending this in for me to take a look at. Thanks to my generous patrons who are supporting me right now. There's a link for Patreon right down below. And please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. So who's Maxace? Maxace is a Chinese OEM. Most of the stuff that they sell, especially like the stuff more on the wild end, you got to get on like AliExpress and DHgate. Right. And yeah, those are sites that are known for, selling clones and this. It's essentially like China's Amazon. Our own Amazon definitely also has a bad rap for selling clones and counterfeits and things like that, but you can also find original stuff there. So that's kind of what it is. I do wish that there would be more Maxace stuff on the retailers that we, at least here in the United States, know and trust. But as of right now, I think that's the only place that you can get it. And it comes in a couple of different variations, right? You can get the blue hardware, you can get the gold hardware. If you're thinking, I've seen that before, I think I've seen that actually in Maxace's line. Yeah, it used to be called the Red Queen 2. There was a few differences. It was like flat titanium scales, and then it had like a mokume inlay. Some other weird little things. There's also a custom version of this with like a mirror polished blade. I don't know much about that, but I'm sure you're thinking, well, why did they change it from the red? I mean, this is obviously a new generation of it. Why did they change it from the Red Queen 2? Because there's a Red Queen 1, which doesn't look anything like this. And then there's the Red Queen 2, which came out like 1 or 2 years ago. And then there's this. Why? Why is it called the Dragon now? I have absolutely no idea. I don't know anything about the designer. I would imagine it's an in-house design, right? But I just don't know. It's also very expensive. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to proceed with this being a normal review, but just bear in mind, I am not reviewing this knife as if it's an obviously practical day-to-day item. Here lately, the knife world has been churning out some pretty boring stuff, right? Very utilitarian and very premium stuff, but very boring. So as a reviewer, this is a breath of fresh air, and I am very happy to talk about it. Whatever your feelings are, right? Just go ahead. There's a comment section right down there. You go right ahead and you tell me your feelings about it. Let's go ahead and get a measurement of this guy. Overall length of the Maxace Dragon. Boy, this guy's intros are long. Yup. Coming in at about 8.85 inches. The blade length is, it's about 4 inches, 3.85 to 4 inches. Your cutting edge is 4 inches. God. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1 and the Ontario Rat Model 2. Wow, that thing's freaking huge. How about let's get like a good full-size knife to do a size comparison with. How about, here's one that's about the same size. The Microtech SOCOM Elite. Yeah, it's about the size of the SOCOM Elite. In fact, in a lot of ways, it's definitely bulkier. How about up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3? Bigger than both. Last but not least, let's do the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Benchmade Bug Out, right? If you're trying to figure out, well, how's this thing going to carry in my pocket, right? 6 whole people watching this video trying to figure that out. Well, here you go. It's gonna carry like a big freaking crazy weird knife with a dragon or bat wing blade. How's the action? Seriously, this thing is on multi-row bearings. The action is freaking crazy. Those of you who saw me unbox it, yeah, the action has just gotten better and better and better. The detent is tuned perfectly. Like, it is seriously hilarious how well built this knife is. It blows my mind, and I take absolute joy in that fact. The flipper tab is so perfectly designed with the weight and mass of the blade, and the detent is tuned perfectly. It's a heavy snap. I dare say this is one of the most satisfying flippers I have ever handled. Oh my gosh, seriously, the action is amazing. I mean, this is on par with, like, I've got Shiros that feel about as smooth. It's amazing. It really is. The action is perfect. I mean that. Let's go ahead and do carry profile, I guess. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's a little thicker, right? You got some contouring, though, so there you go. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. If you're used to carrying larger knives, I mean, this won't be that much different, right? But with that flipper tab, the maximum height in certain areas is actually a bit taller, even than the PM2 or Para 3. So it's a big knife. It's going to be cumbersome. So just keep that in mind if you're going to carry it. Let's take a look at the inside here. So we actually don't have any milling on the inside of the titanium, which in some ways I'm like, oh, why not? Why didn't they? But then again, I'm like, well, does it matter on this knife? I don't know. It doesn't have any milling, so there you go. This is pretty heavy. I'm going to guess it's about 6 ounces, maybe 6.5. Hey, I was pretty close. 6.6 ounces. Oh, well, the ratios aren't going to be spectacular on that. It's funny. The instincts, right, as knife people that we have to critique these little professional elements of this thing, right? And then you look at what it is that we're talking about. So why are you even reviewing it? Why are you here watching it? Well, yeah, there we go. Stalemate. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. Get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use in this channel. This looks like oil slick zirconium, just the pivot. It wouldn't surprise me if that's what it is. It could also, I don't know if I've seen that applied to titanium. Maybe I have. I think that could just be a finish that we see on titanium. In any case, it looks great. It looks awesome. We have a T10 pivot, and then, oh, no, I thought we were going to get lucky. Those are T8. So awesome. We have T10 and T8. And minimal hardware. This actually would be pretty easy to take apart. The only thing that's a T6 is the lock bar insert screw, which you shouldn't be messing with anyway. Even the pocket clip screw is a T8. So nice job there, Maxace. Seriously, like Maxace, their manufacturing quality is ridiculous. It really is. This is not the first time that I've handled something from Maxace and gone, what? What the heck? I mean, this is spectacular. We're going to talk more about it, but just take another break there for me to say that. It's really, really impressive. Let's go ahead and measure blade stock thickness. That looks like maybe, oh, it's not going to, because we've got a radius backspacer there. We're going to have to just hold it. 150 thousandths or so, maybe. We got it. Dang, I'm on a roll today. 150, it's probably 150 thousandths exactly. So there you go. Do we have anything else? No, let's move into the review here. Okay, so yeah, this is freaking crazy, right? And there's a, I've showed this on Instagram in the unboxings. Every now and then there's a few people like, well, it might make a good self-defense thing, or maybe it'd be really good at, if you have to peel 3 miniature oranges at the same time. I like to call this blade a recurve curve. Oh, yeah, I crack myself up with the great jokes. It's called a dragon because it looks like a dragon wing, but I mean, obviously the brain goes to Batwing first, right? Batarang, Batman, this or that, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the finished work here. I'm going to zoom way up so you guys can see, what we're working with. This is beautifully textured. I mean, I call it an orange peel texture, but it might resemble this or that, eggshell or whatever. The seating of the hardware and just, the quality of the materials, like, do we need a oil slick titanium or oil slick zirconium pivot? Do we need a Damascus pivot collar? No, we don't. Do they exist on other knives? Yes, they do. It's just something that exists. It's still impressive, right? Full Damascus, like a milled Damascus clip. The bowls around, like how they milled the titanium to accept the fasteners and how they all, are seated in there. The backspacer. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's contoured. It's just amazing. It really is just hilarious that this much effort was brought in here. We have wonderful access to the titanium lock bar. Very easy to disengage. There is no double clutch or anything like that. The flipper tab is completely and totally knocked down and has jimping in the right area. I mean, it is just spectacular. It really is. Let's zoom back out here for a second and talk about the ergonomic lines, that they also really took a lot of care in making sure that it was comfortable in the human hand. My God, is this comfortable? I don't know what you're going to cut with this, but you're going to be comfortable while you're cutting it, right? It's amazing. I mean, it fills the hand. The titanium is plenty contoured. There's a nice spot for your thumb. The pocket clip is not the slightest hint of hot spot. It's just super nice. There's also plenty of room on it, right? So we do have some specific areas where they really want you to put like your index finger, your middle finger, but that spot that you're meant to hold it in is really great. It just is. We have probably a combination between a hand-rubbed satin. It's got the hand-rubbed satin flats and machine belt satin finish on the blade. Yeah, think whatever you want about the blade. In fact, I probably would agree with you. The blade is ridiculous. It's appealing in the way that it's just insane, right? I'm not going to sit here and be like, wow, that's a handsome blade. No, it looks like a bat wing, right? It's crazy that they managed to do this with such precision. I mean, it really is. It's just mind-blowing, right? Now, down at the edge is pretty thick. I did this on a live stream. I'll cut a piece of paper with it. I mean, it'll do it. Any one of these, heavily scalloped areas will absolutely slice paper, right? It's kind of, you can see the lips of the paper folding up, so it's not like a razor sharp. I'd say this final one here where it's tapering is definitely the thinnest behind the edge. It will slice. It'll do that, right? If you need this thing to cut through a box or something or whatever, you need it to open an Amazon package that contains your next knife, it will do that. But it will not do it efficiently. Obviously for a work knife, right? I can't believe I have to say this, but I just know I'm going to have to. For a work knife, or if you're looking for it to perform general knife tasks in a way that makes your day more convenient, that's not what this is. But again, that's not what they designed it to be. They designed the blade in a way that was like, wow, look at that, that's freaking crazy, right? And then to add on top of that, the way that it's built, it's just, while this isn't the first time I've seen wild and crazy stuff, there's not a lot of stuff that's built like this, with this aesthetic, with this level of quality, right? So it's interesting in that way. It's definitely an intentionally ironic knife. The element of irony is lost on so many people, right? But that's what this is. You are looking at an ironic knife, definitely. The flat carries out 75% the length of the blade. Whatever you want to call this thing, when I unboxed it, I told people, like, try to name it. Name it whatever you want. I don't think that this is actually, you know, there's not really a specific name for this, obviously. There's a swedge up here. Looks nice. Complements the look of it, right? You can definitely put your thumb back here and, you know, for detailed work, for detailed jobs, whatever that is, sharpening it's going to be a nightmare, right? Somebody was like, you know, KME folks sweating buckets. Just us with guided systems? I would say no matter how you're sharpening this, it's going to be a nightmare. My question is, so hypothetically, someone used this enough and wore the edge down enough that it required additional sharpening, right? Yeah, of course it's going to be difficult to sharpen. Definitely. I would say that that's also an incredibly obvious thought. Okay, I think we can move on past the blade. It says M390 right here, and then here's I think it's actually the Maxace logo, or I've just seen this symbol in association with Maxace before, and then maybe that's the in-house designer, or maybe that's the designer's insignia. I'm not really sure. The backspacer looks good. Like I said, you can get it in blue or gold anno, whatever you want. There's a perfectly slotted area for a lanyard, right, which is great because it allows the pocket clip to be mounted in an optimal position for optimal carry depth, right? It's kind of right there in between medium and, deep and shallow. The pocket clip looks awesome. It is beautifully well thought out. Look at these areas down here where we have these angles off the side of it. It's all nicely rounded out. The problem here for people who are actually going to buy this and carry it is it's so, I mean, it does not create any hint of a hot spot, and the tension is about medium. There's no space to get it, even though it is a continuous ramp, there's no space to get it up over the seam of your pocket without using two hands. So I guess there's a critique. This is an exposed titanium frame lock. We have a steel lock bar insert that's doubling as the over travel stop. So that's great. We have a massive stop pin back here. Well, it's not massive. I mean, it's appropriately sized. A little bit of shouldering there. Absolutely no blade play up, down, left, or right. No hint of lock stick. No pivot lash whatsoever. Beautiful. Beautiful detent. Beautiful action. Down to the nice little clicky detent right here, ready. And it's looking like it's a little bit off, but it's because I have been flipping this thing like crazy. So I'm going to demonstrate here because I know when I got it, it was perfectly centered. So I don't really have an issue with that, even if I have to keep adjusting it. I mean, me personally, all I'm going to do is just add the 242 Loctite to it. And did we get it back? Do I need to, oh, maybe I need to turn this one. Let's try that. Oh, there we go. That was the one. So there it is, right? Now, did it keep that super duper smooth action? Got a little bit tighter. I think maybe if I loosen this one up just a little bit. And let's see, did we keep the centering? We did keep the centering. Just want to make sure that that's visible to everybody. And, oh yeah. So it is, I mean, you can see actually where it's wearing the race in right there. And that's just going to get smoother and smoother and smoother. But yeah, there's no like, oh, if you spend that much money on it, it better not come off center. Just back the pivot out and put some 242 in there. I mean, the benefit there is that it allows you to get the pivot easily out. This obviously has a free spinning. You have to tighten both sides, which kind of sucks, but oh well. But yeah, it allows you to get the pivot out, add Loctite, and then adjust the action to your liking and get it centered at the same time, right? So don't be, perturbed if your blade comes off center. That's typical of any folding knife in any price range. Okay, so is this a recommendable knife? No, are you serious? Look at this. This is ridiculous. It's also ridiculously expensive. This is manufactured in China, and while it is, I mean this, I'm dead serious. This is the This is the nicest precision production Chinese. If you didn't know, the production, like the ultra high end of Chinese production knives are probably the highest quality, like as far as like how precision and how everything fits together. They're some of the nicest knives in the world. Like if you're looking for something that is truly laser perfect, companies like Riat, and you know, a handful of others will do it. Riyadh does an excellent job. This is the only time that I have handled something that I can say is like definitively above the quality that I expect from Riyadh, which is it's already perfect, right? Maxace is capable of some stupid high quality. Now, if you go look at Maxace's line, they have practical designs, right? They have like the generic, the same type of stuff that everybody else is putting out. But I feel like they're often overlooked because it's the same exact type of stuff that everybody else is putting out. So they do something like this, and they get somebody like me or whoever else. I'm sure lots of people on YouTube have picked these up because they look freaking crazy. We get these things in hand and go, holy crap, this thing is freaking nice, right? It makes me want to check out other stuff from them. And I did. I mean, they reached out to me. This is the second time they've reached out to me. They did the sandstorm, that giant integral thing. I was like, what the? This is amazing, right? So it makes me want to keep reaching out to them and like, okay, so if you can do this with something that's ridiculous, like, you know, let's see what you can do with a practical design, right? I think they knew exactly what they were doing. I think they absolutely hit the nail on the head. The intention with this knife, this was meant as a shining beacon. It doesn't matter if there's people complain, it's not practical, it's not practical. It wasn't built to be practical. It was built as a thing that got your attention. Right? I understand I'm acting as that vessel. I am definitely the megaphone here. Yeah, it's doing the trick with or without me. This was bound to get attention one way or another, right? It just is what it is. This is freaking expensive. And I think it's a bit overpriced. Like, yeah, it is really impressive with the titanium. It's really, again, it's manufactured in China, right? I've got a lot, despite the fact that this is probably the nicest precision premium Chinese production knife that I have ever handled, they still have integrals in their lineup that, like the sandstorm was less expensive than this. The original Queen, this Red Queen 2, it wasn't contoured, right? But it had Mokame inlays, and it was less expensive than this, and it wasn't produced that long ago. This thing is coming in at like $580. I think the lowest that I saw it was $540. The highest I saw it was about $600. But I see it pretty consistently for about $580. That's a lot of money. This is really impressive, but still, even with that being said, I think $500 would have been about the peak. It's still, to me, this is kind of like, it's really amazing, right? But we can get integrals from Riyadh in a lot of cases, right? Still for $450. So there's no way that this costs that much more to make. Still, though, really amazing. And this is, you know, for the people who decide to pick it up, the only people who are going to buy this, or the vast majority of people who are going to buy this, are people who know exactly what it is that they're buying, right? They already know. They've looked at it and gone, I'm not interested in actually using it as a practical cutting tool. I'm buying this because it's wild and crazy and interesting. And let me tell you, if your only question was, I just want to know if it's well built. Holy crap. Yes. This is outstanding. This is outstanding. I am very interested to see what Maxace comes out with in the future. Watch your pricing though. $580 is pretty ridiculous, even considering like, oh yeah, well, it's a Damascus clip, and we got a Damascus pivot collar, and whatever the heck the pivot's made out of. That's way too high. Price your stuff appropriately, because no matter how amazing, how practical the design is, you know, even with them having sent this to me, right? They sent this to me. I get to keep this, right? I'm not going to openly recommend it. Number one, I'm not going to say people should rush out and buy it because it's an ironic design, right? I'm also, you know, going to say it's definitely overpriced. Somebody's sending me a free knife for people wondering, because there's always people wondering. Me getting a free knife does not mean that I'm going to tell everybody to rush out and buy it. I'm not so easily bought. No. This is definitely overpriced. It's really cool and really interesting, and I'm glad that it exists because it gives me something to talk about, but it's way too much money. Way too much. Maxace, apply this to practical designs, keep your pricing in check, and the sky's the limit. Seriously. That's about it, right? This was a fun one. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. It's just a crazy thing, and for a while these will be available, right? So if you really want to, you can go buy. I don't know. I have no like affiliate link for this. I don't make any money if you go and buy it. It's there. If you want to buy it, you can, right? I'm not gonna link to AliExpress and DHgate because, truthfully, I just don't like those websites. But it's not going to be difficult for you to find, and you've already got the name of the knife, right? And we all have access to Google, so there you go. I appreciate Maxace sending me this. This was a fun one. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.